What's happened here, boys? What have you done? Hello, good evening and welcome to the Wolves Report. I'm Ryan Lester and thank you for joining us for episode 134. Tonight we'll give you our Man City match and player analysis after the 4-0 home defeat on the opening day, talk about that Jota tribute, talk about the transfers, take your questions and looking ahead to the game on Saturday against Bournemouth. I hope you like the new introduction. There was a little technical error there where it broke back to us. I don't know, but it just showed the two kids playing up in the background. I'm glad it's exposed them for that. But as always, I'm delighted to welcome back our club captain and director of football in the form of Mark Knock and Chris Tyler. Gentlemen, we are back to the business end after pre-season. But before we get into the games, though, an important thing to talk about. We lost Diogo Jota in the summer, obviously a Liverpool player, but a big part for Wolves. And Wolves played, for me, a magnificent part in a tribute for him. And now, for those that haven't seen it, I'm going to play that now. I'm sure most of the people have, but then we'll give that little bit of respect, talk about that, and then we'll move on to the game. So this is the fantastic tribute by Kieran Nui's bunch of people of the Old Gold pack who put on a magnificent tribute. Have a look at this. Now, I don't know about you guys, but on Saturday, that proper took me back, lads. It really did. I thought Wolves were fantastic. Whoever played their part, I know Josh in the media team had a big part to play in that. And obviously Kieran from the Old Goal pack. Tyler, Wolves haven't done a lot of things great recently, but that's the way you pay a tribute.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when you say Wolves, obviously the main bulk of this was done by, supporters, wasn't it? Which is, probably worth mentioning. People giving it their spare time and effort and money to put something on like that was superb. And you can't not watch it without sort of getting a lump in your throat, can you? Or the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. And, there's been a lot of tweets, a lot of comments from people and, the time he was here, the belief, the positivity, the club was absolutely flying, wasn't it? And, obviously such a shame for someone that young, but yeah, what the guys have done there and the song and the music was perfect. And there's talk about, keeping it moving forward and that gets my vote. It's obviously got a link to the club anyway with the gold in the title before, what happened at the weekend. So it gets my vote, but yeah, very, very somber and we're going to come on now and talk about football for an hour and ultimately it probably isn't the most important thing, is it? But we sometimes think that it is. So, yeah, just echo what you say, Ryan. Well done to everybody involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Nocky, anything to finish up on that?
No, I thought it was incredible. I've never been in a football stadium when there's actually been a tifo raised. So to see that go up, it was incredible. And my dad, who's probably got the emotional range of a sledgehammer, I could see the tears rolling down his cheeks when that came up. And there was so much emotion in the stadium, and as you say, we've not done a lot wrong not right as a club this summer. But that was special, and the memories Jota leaves us with. The goal against Man United, turning John Terry inside out before slapping in the opener against Villa. He was an absolutely special player, and he deserved all of that. And to have Ruben Neves there and Jota's family there as well, to let he's not going to ease their suffering, but to know that there's all these people supporting them and love their Diogo the way that we do, it's going to help a little bit, I hope.
Absolutely. Well done to Kieran Newey, the old goal pack, and everyone that Wolves involved, as well as everyone that could afford to donate, everyone that's involved. Fantastic. Well done to everybody on that. Going back to the football side of things, Nocky, it was a start, I think, that kind of I think most people on here predicted. I know I'll never predict Wolves to win on my podcast, but we kind of knew what was coming. But your take on Wolves 0, Manchester City 4?
The result was pretty much what I expected, but the performance actually wasn't. I thought we were actually quite good. I think for 28, 30 minutes up until the first goal went in, I thought we were in it. We were lively, we were efficient, we created opportunities. I thought Marshall Monetzi in particular, it was his best game for Wolves. Scored a very, very good header, but was offside. He shouldn't have been offside, but I'm not going to criticise him too much for that. But I thought we looked okay defensively. The midfield had a little bit of a grip on the game, and we were a bit of a threat up front as well. I thought that Strand Larsen should have had a goal as well. But as soon as they scored, they just took full control. And Haaland maybe should have had a couple of goals before he actually got his goal. But I'm not going to be too critical, because I think when you break it down squad for squad, I mean, that is a £1 billion squad, isn't it? And we look at our midfield in Gomez and Andre, and we think they're special, and they are special for us, and we think they're good players, and we expect them to go on to be sort of to the next level and be the next big thing. But when you look at the display from, I think it was Randers in the middle, that was just an absolute masterclass of how to play in midfield, and we couldn't get anywhere near them. So I think that you've got to put it into context. Haaland's going to score 35, 40 goals if he stays fit all season. They've got quality all over the pitch. I think they're very much in the conversation to win the league. I think they look incredibly strong, and the signings are excellent. But they've got that kind of money to throw around. We're not in the same league as them, essentially. We're not going to be anywhere near them at the end of the season. They're a lot better than we are. So we were okay. We were in the game up until the second goal went in. We've lost 4-0, but it didn't feel like we capitulated. It just felt like they were pretty ruthless and pretty clinical. But there's some positives to take. I was expecting a very flat performance based on what we'd seen in pre-season. I know we've spoke about it last week that you can't take pre-season too seriously, but you can get a little bit of pattern as to what's going to happen. And I think we maybe did that with Agbadou. But individually, there was errors, there was mistakes, and we were punished ruthlessly. But there are some positives to take, whether it's the fact that we haven't been slapped, and that was sort of my expectation, is that it would be a real battering, not just score-wise, but performance-wise, and we wouldn't get a kick. We were in the game for periods. We looked threatening for periods, but it certainly exposed where the weaknesses are in the squad and what we need to do going forward.
Yeah, I agree. Tyler, it kind of tells us where the two clubs are. Man City loan out their £100 million player that's won league titles, Champions League with them. No loan fee, just cover his wages to Everton. And Wolves are still scratching around to fill the bench. That's the difference, isn't it, where they're in the size of the clubs?
Yeah, and Nocky touched upon it there. I don't think you define our season on games against these teams anymore. That's probably a shame in itself, because I remember a time 5-6 years ago, Wolves would go into any game and look to win it with no fear. And that's where we are now, unfortunately. We're now looking at the next two fixtures and thinking, can we get 4 points? You know, they're the games we have to target. And that's not to say, you know, I'm with you guys, I think played quite well, and it didn't have that free hit or that battering feel about it. But realistically, those games now, how I see our squad and our first 11 aren't going to be able to compete very well with these top sides anymore. And now the focus just has to move on. Can we get points from your Bournemouths, your Evertons, the teams that are probably going to be in and around us? And you just hope it doesn't scar them too much or sort of knock the confidence a little bit. I don't think it should, because like Mark says, the performance was decent, but sort of getting slapped 4-0 on the opening day is still a bit of a tough one to take, isn't it? So, yeah, I think Mark summarised the game well. And, you know, there are still hopefully some positives to take. But, yeah, to answer your question, look at the quality they've got, you know, and that's with players like, you know, Rodri, Foden still not near it. Edison's not in the squad. You know,
and they've got rid of De Bruyne. It's incredible.
It's chalk and cheese. You're dead right. It's chalk and cheese. But like I said, I do remember a time we competed with them and we beat them on a quite a regular basis.
Yeah, we beat them at their place. We doubled them that season, I think, when they were champions, which is good memories that aren't too far away, but seem a million miles away football wise now. Now, your take on this, guys, as well. And you mentioned it then, Nocky. I don't actually think Wolves were terrible. I think we played a team that looked well oiled against a team that didn't have the options that the opponents had. But I mean, the opening 5 or 10 minutes, it looked like it was going to be a long day. The score said it was a long day. But up until they scored, Wolves grew into that game. I'm not saying they were on top, but they certainly going blow for blow with them until that opening goal.
Yeah, but I think our expectations are very low, weren't they? If we're being completely honest, and it would have. I thought the game would be done by half time. It probably was in reality, but I thought there could be 3 or 4 in before half time. We were okay for considering what I expected us to be, but I think also I don't think City really came out of second gear. I think they cruised the game. And let's not forget they're bringing in new players and bloody new players, and they were still able to put in a performance like that. So we were in the game. We were never going to win the game. For me, I didn't. There was not one part of me thought we were going to come out with any kind of positive result. So I was more focused on the performance probably than the result, because I thought it was next to impossible for Wolves to get anything out of that game. So they were above my expectations, but I think that's probably because my expectations were so low. It showed the lack of quality that we've got, but it was almost a little bit of a free hit. And I know we said it's not a free hit, but it felt that way because of the emotion of the day with the Jota tributes. Molyneux kind of left Jeff Shee, Fosun alone, and just focused on the football and singing for Jota. And it was a more comfortable game because I think we kind of expected to lose.
But in fairness, Nocky, that's probably the right thing to do for that game. Because
I'm not disputing that at all. That's my point is that we didn't have any expectations, and we were playing a different kind of game. We were looking at the occasion as opposed to the result because we knew what was coming and we knew that this was more important essentially. But we've got major problems. We've got huge quality issues. There's problems all over the pitch, which I know we'll come into. But one thing that I am very pleased about is those players absolutely grafted for the shirt, whether they were good or bad. They ran their hearts out and they fought.
Even at 4, they didn't stop.
Even at 4-0. So you give yourself a chance if you've got that.
If you've got that attitude and mentality. I know heads are dropped because no one wants to be embarrassed. I think we were embarrassed by inferior technical ability, not by effort or graft, because I think no one gave up. It was just quality, and that's where we're at. When you lose Cunha and Ait-Nouri, and so far it doesn't look like we've replaced them like for like anywhere near. That's what happens because you don't seem to have a threat. But let's talk about the goals. Tyler, some of the goals we did okay with in terms of, I'm not sure much more we could do, but in terms of there was a couple of stinkers. For me personally, I don't think there's much we could probably do with the opening goal. He's got in a good position. That's a really good point. At what point though do you foul in that move?
Early on, or even late on. I'm inclined to not agree with you on all the goals, to be honest. And even the one where they took us apart, it was still a bit of a training ground routine, and no one really got close. And if you at this level, you know the quality they've got. You're in the game at 0-0. You have to do everything you can to keep it at 0-0 for as long as possible. And it just needed a cynical tug back, take the yellow card, and move on. They've got quality. They dinked it over nicely. He had too much time, I think, to cross it, tapping for Haaland. You'll see City score that goal a lot this season, obviously. And maybe I'm being harsh, but I think when you've got Andre and Gomez and the like in that midfield, I'm expecting one of them to take one for the team there, to be honest. So that, for me, is why that first goal, and I think Jordan's just said it, to go through the middle that easily, for me at this level, probably isn't acceptable.
I don't think you're being harsh at all, because I think he walks through the middle of our two midfielders who snap people for fun when that sort of thing happens. He just walks through. You can't let a player make up that much ground and then do a little scoop over the top of your back line.
Yeah,
I thought it was really... Yeah, it was really, really poor defensively. And Agbadou should be tracking Haaland. He's lost him over his shoulder. He should be tracking the run. You can talk about how good they are movement-wise, but I don't think the movement was great in that. I just think they ran forward and we didn't deal with it at all. So I think it was an atrocious goal. However, they are a good side, and they
Just
can
to
make you
just
look
to back up your point, what you both said there, particularly you, Tyler, Hoover, Andre, Gomez, Wolf, no booking for any of them. Now, I'm not saying they should give away needless fouls if you're 3 or 4-0 down, but maybe that's a valid point in there to try and you can see what's happening. The door's open, but yeah, I mean,
I think your point's right at 3 and 4-0. It's valid, but 0-0 in the game, positive start. Like I said, you just do whatever you can to get it to half time or hold on to that, and I just don't think we did ultimately.
Tyler, Nocky, the second goal for me was the worst time to concede after you've just scored is concede straight away because it's a double kidney shot. The wind's out your sails. You've already got to get up against it against a superior side, but it's such a sloppy pass. His body doesn't look the right shape for me. Agbadou gives it away. It's not even a half chance, really. It's such a clinical finish. I don't know if SARS should do better or it's a great finish, but the key moment in that goal for me was how poor the Agbadou distribution was there. Just the casualness. For me, Tyler, I don't know what it was, but it looked like a clumsy pass. I don't. If you understand what I'm trying to say, I don't really know what he was trying to do there. He looked so sort of
lazy,
unnatural,
lethargic, lazy. You're right. You're both right. It's a sloppy pass. There was no fizz in it. There was no oomph on it. It was just sloppy, lazy, lethargic. We called it the back end of last season on here, didn't we? A few times he'd gone sloppy. That there was no doubt in that, and the kid's obviously got all the ability in the world if he wants to use it, but I'm convinced he's either switched off. I don't know. He's finding it too easy, which we talked about before. But you can't do that again against this team. They'll punish you. But the second point for me, the goalkeeping for me is atrocious. And I think we need to come and talk about our goalkeepers because how after 8 years you end up with the 3 goalkeepers we've got in the Premier League is bonkers. It's a half chance at best, Ryan. I think you mentioned that. It's a half chance at best.
I mean, it's a perfect finish, but should the keeper do better when it's not hit?
I don't think it's right in the corner, and I don't think he struck it with loads of pace. It's one of them you're wanting to see the replay in a way to see what's happened, like how's it gone in. But for me, an international goalkeeper and Premier League goal has to keep that out. He just has to. So again, we've sort of said at the start of the podcast there's positives and we played well, but the 2 goals we've conceded for me are poor.
Yeah, on to the third goal, Nocky. Probably the showpiece of all the goals. I know you two certainly wasn't and I wasn't, but there were some people applauding the way it was like a FIFA goal. It was click, 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 pass, bang. It was a brilliant goal. But people could say, oh, he didn't get near him. I don't think they could get near him on that. It was, like I said, I'm not here to praise Man City. That's the best goal of the day for me. It's just a well-oiled machine. And when you put Haaland there, only one thing's happened. But again, Nocky, the keeper's got a hand to it. Are we questioning it's gone straight through him or am I being harsh there?
Firstly, I don't do clapping the opposition. I can't believe anyone.
No, absolutely not. But people, I'm just saying people were.
Nocky barely claps when Wolves score.
I don't like our own team, let alone the opposition. No, I thought the move at the time was fabulous. I mean, they ripped us to pieces, and it's a good move when your players are stationary during the whole move, and they didn't know where to go, they didn't know where the ball was going, and I didn't even see Haaland. He just popped up from absolutely nowhere. You expect your attacker in that move to be on the penalty spot or hovering around the 6-yard box. So the fact that he's on the edge of the area, he just tiptoed in, didn't he? I don't think there's a lot we could do up to that point. Sarr gets a big hand on that. Sarr gets a big touch on that. And yes, it's got power. It has got pace behind it. But if he gets a hand the way he did for me, potentially he could have done better. I know it's just inside the area and maybe
went underneath him,
didn't
harsh. So he didn't tip it wide. Yeah. So if his hand's low, he probably stops it. I mean, I'm not sure it makes a lot of difference in the game, but I think that was a spell when Wolves were pressing and Strand Larson just missed a chance. Yeah,
it might not make a big difference in the game, but when you look at the context of the first weekend of the season, and it is only the first weekend of the season, you're bottom of the league, you're 3 points and 7 goals beyond Sunderland. So every goal that you're not having hammering into your net is a bonus for you. So if you can keep them out, you should. I mean, they've had 4 shots on target and they've scored 4 goals.
He's not made a save.
He hasn't made a single save in that game. And maybe I'm being a little bit harsh, I don't know. But for me, if you get a hand on that, I think potentially you should be doing better. And I agree with the second goal. You should have saved that as well.
I'm no goalkeeper, but usually when you get into your hand to it and it's just the tips of your fingers, but the fact he got the bottom half of his hand to it and it went underneath him, I just feel like he should have probably done better. I don't know. But Haaland's a goal machine, isn't he? The last goal, again, Tyler, they just sort of managed to poke their way through a little bit easier, and it's another grass cutter in the far corner.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame Saar for this one. I think it does actually go in sort of the side netting corner of the net.
His body weight's on the other foot as well.
Yeah,
It's expecting it to be on the other side.
It looks a soft one, but I don't think there's much you can do about it. The kids took it well. Again, you could probably argue, if you're being really critical, could we engage quicker? Could Tota get out to him quicker? He sort of lets him get his shot away, and sort of once it goes through the centre half's legs, keeper's got no chance really. But yeah, it just started to make the scoreline look a little bit messier than it needed to be, didn't it? But yeah, it's one of them, you know. Like I said a minute ago, you just hope the third and fourth going in don't, you know, sort of knock people back and have too much of an effect on the team, because, you know, like we said, there are still some positives to be taken from it.
Absolutely. And I don't think as well, like I said, this isn't a realistic yardstick for the season ahead. This is probably going to happen a couple of times this season against them top 3 or 4 sides, maybe even 5 now with where we're at. But let's see where we're at after Bournemouth. Again, that's a hard game because they give Liverpool a proper game on Friday night, and Everton. I think Everton's the key one. You come away with nothing from that, and then there's some big concerns. Overall, though, guys, just a quick summary of the game before we go on to the player ratings. There are some positives, but for me, it's quality in both boxes. You look at Man City, ruthless at one end and pretty much doing everything that they can at the other end to block and stop. I don't think we did enough in either. I don't think there's enough, as you mentioned, enough bodies on the line, probably enough aggression in terms of taking one for the team. Good point, Tyler. And again, quality, because Manetzi, a few times he's run, it's a great header. Strand Larsen probably should have scored, had a chance of scoring both halves. So I think 4-0 was a little bit harsh, but this is football. This is the world we live in. You don't take your chances. You don't score. You play against the best teams. You give your chances. They score goals. This is episode 134 of the Wolves Report with Mark Knock, Chris Tyler and myself, Ryan Lester. Nui's been on to say, thanks for the feedback, lads. Emotional day. Great. We did Diogo justice. Mate, you certainly did. And Molyneux was proud of you and everything you did. And Dave Morrison, the chant at the end was unreal as well. Yeah, quick mention for that. The last 10 or 15 minutes, the game was gone, but Molyneux was fantastic. Understandably, some people went, but that's their choice. It's not for me to say whether they should stay or not. But the fact the Man City Portuguese players went over and were applauding the South Bank, that tells you how good it was. So, yeah, great point there, Dave, and a well done again, Nui. Let's move on to our team graphic, Nocky, and go on to look through this. This is in association with...
You've got too much time. I mean, what have you been doing all summer, son? You've got little emojis, you've got a graphic, you've got a new starting point.
Well, if you let me
trying to take it seriously.
If you let me take over, son, this is an association with Ad Sidaway. Evening, Ad. Thank you. He'll be doing this to us throughout the season. Graphic designer, Ad. As you can see, this is some work I commented on a few times throughout the summer. We're getting in contact, and he's going to do this alongside us. So yeah, I'm really happy now. We know we talked through the team and the ratings. I love the way Tyler, though, has given me some credit because he thinks I'm capable of something like this. So yeah, I'm
borderline professional. Don't know what's going on.
Well, Ad is very professional, unlike us. We're sprinkling the professionalism onto us. Nocky, let's talk about the team. Jose Sarr. Well, actually, Tyler, you can have Jose Sarr, and we'll go through the rest.
Two.
You should have saved 2 shots.
If you're, like I said, if you're a goalkeeper and you've had 4 shots and they've all gone past you, you're not going to get a high rating, are you? I don't know.
Every shot's beating him, hasn't it? So.
Yeah, every shot's gone past him. There's rumours he's carrying a bit of a back sort of niggle.
I thought he was going to say carrying a knock, but that's going to be enough for anybody to give him a bad game.
Yeah. It's probably not doing him any favours, but if he keeps having to bend over to pick the ball out of the net, that's not going to help either, is it? But not a great performance. So yeah, I mean, 2's tongue in cheek, but if you're being serious, it's probably between a 2 and a 4 out of 10, isn't it?
Nocky, moving on to the back 3. Now, the players we're concerned about were probably better than the ones actually in the back 3. But we'll start off with the back 3. I'll start off with Agbadou. Now, we all mentioned it through season, casual, sloppy, but we saw when we needed him last year that guy on his game, other than the Bristol City game, when you said some interesting things about him, which he looks like that player again now. But when we needed him for that spell of 10 or 12 games, he was colossal. Like pocketing people like Ollie Watkins, absolutely fantastic. However, that guy looks unrecognisable. It's a concern to me. Hopefully that's a sort of a reboot for him and he kicks on. The good thing about him, though, is we've seen what a good player he can be when he's switched on. So for me, I think he's dropped in probably a 3 or 4 out of 10. And I hate saying that because he's brilliant, but I mean, I'm here to call the truth. He had a really poor game. He lost his man. He lost possession. It's cost us a couple of goals. So, you know what, though? It's against Man City, and hopefully this is the wake-up call that he needed. Noki, tell me about Toti Gomez and Matt Doherty.
I think just on Agbadou, the wake-up call he needed, he's had 4 stinkers in pre-season, so at what point does he actually wake up and start concentrating again?
4 stinkers and now 4 goals past him.
I think Totti and Doherty were the stronger of the two. Agbadou was clearly the weakest. I thought they were okay. I was very worried about our right-hand side. I thought Hoover and Doherty would get decimated by Doku, but they actually did relatively well. They looked quite solid compared to the left-hand side. I thought they were okay. If you're going to judge them, you can probably judge them on the amount of shots that Sarr's had to face, and he's only had to face 4 on target. Granted, they've all whistled past him, but he's only had to face 4 of them. So they were okay. We've shipped 4 goals, so I'd probably give them a 5 out of 10 for that.
Moving on to the wing-backs, I'll go on to these. I don't think Hoover had a particularly bad game. In terms of what was expecting, he was all right. He dealt with Doku okay. I mean, I know his first touch sort of ran into somebody and he lost it there. It looks to me like a real confidence issue. Now, someone dropped me a DM earlier on and it was pretty good, and I hope this is proven to be correct, so I'll try and find it quickly. It was JMW. Hold on, if you get the chance, I'd like to make a point about Hoover. I thought he played like he was scared, but he grew into the game. The issue was his poor first touch. Was it poor, or probably that due to confidence? That his second touch was more about recovery than creativity. Good point again. When we did get the ball and down and play, he actually looked quite useful. Now, I think that's a really good point. I don't think he'll be in the team next week. It does look like a confidence issue, and I take the points on board, but I'm not sure he's going to be or should be a Premier League regular. I know people talk about him improving, but various loan moves, done okay at Stoke, did okay in France. I'm not sure, but I'd love to be proven wrong.
You don't think he starts next week?
I think the new boy starts.
I think Hoover starts.
You start Hoover there?
No, I think Hoover starts.
Yeah.
Hoover's probably what, 3rd choice on that side, and the guy we've signed is about 15th choice.
You mean 15 choice of options we've signed, or not 15th choice at Wolves?
Yeah, in terms of all the players we've gone for. I think he starts Hoover next week.
Well, that's a big shout. We'll get onto the team a bit later on. Moving on to Wolf on the far side. It's a difficult debut.
It's an acid test, though, isn't it?
It's not a Neil Masters regen, isn't it?
If he could hit a ball like Neil Masters, we are laughing.
Yeah,
he's just got to stay fit for 5 minutes. Remember Neil Masters hitting the bar against Blues, a free kick? It's about 8 men or something like that. Good memories. One thing I was expecting from Wolf that I've not seen, I know he only played half a game when he sort of had concussion in the second game against Man City. What I was expecting was lots and lots of bombing on and getting forward, and I didn't see that. Now, that was a real surprise. Granted, we played against Man City. I know they had more of the ball than us, but it wasn't sort of like a 30%, 70% job. I did expect more of him when we did break, getting forward, and I didn't see that. So, you know what, again, it's not fair against Man City. I thought probably of the 2 wing-backs, Hoover was probably better than Wolf. That's not something I thought I'd be saying. So probably a 5 for Wolf and probably a 5 or 6, 5.5 for Hoover. Noki, tell me about the 2 centre midfielders.
Just before we do that, we had 3 wing backs came on. Hugo, who would you say was the best out of 3?
Probably Hugo, yeah. Did he come on at a point in the game when
the game was gone, wasn't it?
He was gone and he was fresh and he could just go for it. He gave us an energy I hadn't seen in pre-season with him, because he looks to me somebody that can cross a football, not give you energy, because he's reasonably quick, but he's not going to be bursting past people. But he came on, he looked busy and fast. Something we hadn't seen, but what I expect from him is delivery from wide and quality from those areas, because you get him in good positions, he will cross. It's just the rest of his game in the Premier League I worry about.
Yeah, and I'm not going to write Wolf off, because that was a hell of an acid test, your first ever game in the Premier League, and you're up against potentially the best team in the Premier League. So I'm not going to be too critical of him. The midfield, it was hard to watch actually, because I'll put these two up on a pedestal. They're two of the best I've seen. There's not a huge list of fantastic midfielders that we've had, but they're certainly up there. But they got ran ragged. They got pulled all over the place. They were opened up. The ball was moved through them, around them, across them, and they just didn't cope very well at all. Again, I'm not trying to be critical of them because they were up against top class opposition, but they were given a bit of a football lesson. So I couldn't score any of them above a 5 really. They worked hard. They did what they could. They grafted, but there was absolutely no quality and no output in that area, unfortunately.
Yeah, tough one. I mean, Man City played a 3 in set in the midfield, so you're almost at a loss already. And Ryan does, like, again, I'm not here to buzz Man City, but he looks obscene. He looks as quick. He looks as quick as a winger playing set in the midfield. He's got the passing ability of looks like Kevin De Bruyne, and he's scoring and making goals. He looks an incredible player. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Moving on to the front three, Nocky. As you mentioned earlier on, I agree with this. I think that's what Manetti's one of his best games, and that I think. I mean, I know there was some jokes on Paddy Power in terms of him reading the offside rule, because he had so many opportunities down that right hand side to get onside. He didn't. He scored a great header. It was offside. Now, I don't know if I imagine this, but I swear he took one on the volley and he turned into the man. And like that's one of the best touches I've ever seen. And I just don't know where that come from. So, but yeah, but what does it say really? We've lost 4-0, and Marshall Monetti was probably your best player. He probably was, but lots of endeavour, but in the end, not enough quality. But
that was the team we set out there, wasn't it? We didn't set out a team to go and win the game. We set out a team of runners and a team of workers who could hopefully bog City down in midfield and keep it respectable. Was the setup. That's why we left Arias and Fer Lopez on the bench, because we just wanted to keep it as tight and solid as we can. I thought he was the best player on the pitch for us. That touch you're talking about was utterly incredible. It was over his shoulder. It's going out for a throw in. It's like a spinning volley to keep it in, and then he keeps it in the touchline as well. It was an outstanding touch. I thought he was. I think he was really good. He was good on the ball. He was good off the ball. His movement did cause him a few problems defensively. He dropped back in to support where he could. He supported Larsson up front. I thought it was his best game for me since he's been here, and it was one of the positives that I took from the match.
Moving on to Jean-Rigner Bellegarde. I thought Jean-Rigner had little to no impact in the game at all. I've said it for a while. I said it before it actually happened. I'm not just jumping on the bandwagon. For me, he's a centre midfielder. Yes, he's a utility player that can play forward, left, forward, right. One of the wing backs if you're absolutely desperate. But for me, he's a centre midfielder. We've seen when he's a little bit deeper and he can collect, he can take that 10 yards with his little bit of pace. He's tenacious. He's incredibly fit. Further up the pitch, though, I just don't think there's enough of a forwards talent in there in terms of what to do. I think he's probably our third one. He's our next one off the rank, isn't he, in terms of centre midfielders? If Andre or Joe Gomez are out, I'd want Bellegarde in there. So I don't want to be over disrespectful for him. I think it was a game where I didn't really notice him doing anything of any impact at all. So it's probably a 4, and I think I'm being kind, Knocker.
I wouldn't disagree. He's midfield or nothing as far as I'm concerned. I don't think he impacts the game at all if he's anywhere else. He played wing back in the friendlies and never got a kick. I don't like him in an advanced position because I don't think he affects the game. But I do think he can drive through midfield, and I think that's where he's at his best. So when we've got the full squad available and when we're through the transfer window, for me, he starts on the bench and he comes in to support the last 15, 20 minutes, or if we've got any suspensions. But I would hope we'd be looking for an upgrade in that position.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with him being our next man off the rank. I know against Villa, like that was an incredible midfield performance. He's shown what he's capable of. So I've no issue if one of those guys was suspended, he comes in. I think he adds a different dimension. And there's like those two, he can proper carry the ball like towards the box. And as we've seen against Villa, we can get in behind as well with those bursts. So yeah, there's a future for him as a squad player, as a centre midfielder, not as a forward. Moving on to Jorgen Strand Larsen. I think he should have had at least one goal, okay.
Should have scored. He had a relatively simple chance from 7 or 8 yards. He was okay. He was a little bit more physical. He tried to get stuck in. He was just eaten alive by quality centre halves, and he didn't really get too much in the way of chances. Although the 1 or 2 that he did have, he probably should have scored. So he was okay, bearing in mind what he was up against.
And that concludes the player ratings. Adam Sidaway, thank you so much, Ad. Much appreciated. Hope to see you at an away game soon. Hopefully, we'll bring you ads graphics every week. It makes it a little bit of a cleaner process and almost gives us a sprinkling of professionalism, as Tyler said, because a lot of the way you give me credit for it. No way. I wouldn't even know how to turn the computer on, Barry. Never mind do that. Now we need to talk about the rest of the summer, Tyler, the remaining few weeks. As I tweeted after the game, I think Jeff or whoever has left the manager very short going into the first game of the season. As always, we seem to write a few games in August off before I got a squad. Sometimes we leave the manager short until January, panic, change the manager and buy loads of players. We've done that a few times. But realistically, Tyler, what do Wolves need to do between now and the end of this window? This should be good.
Realistically? Do I have to be realistic?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think so. It's a family show, remember, so...
It's only my opinion, and it seems as a Wolves fan these days, you either get like labelled one or the other, don't you? You're either a pound wetter because you're not happy with what's going on, or you're a sort of happy because you are happy with what's going on. It seems there's no like middle ground or anything.
Which one are you, Tyler? I couldn't possibly think.
No, I'm not. I'd like to think I'm somewhere in the middle because you use the word realistically, and I think realistically this team is miles away from where it needs to be for competing.
Okay, I'll rephrase it then. For Wolves to finish 17th, guarantee 17th, what needs to happen between now and the end of the window?
I think if your aim is just to finish 17th, I think you need another centre-back. I think you need a differentiator in centre midfield. I think you need another striker because Strand Larsen's comfortable. And I think you need
one with pace.
And I think you need what do we call them now? A 10, inverted 10. Those four positions, if some decent quality came in, I'd be fairly comfortable that Wolves would finish 17th. If you then wanted to have the conversation around sort of knocking top half, none of the goalkeepers for me are good enough. I think the squad stinks of being average. I know we brought a bit of pace today. There's no pace in forward areas, or hopefully there will be when Arias comes in. To compete at the top, like I said, top half and above, I think we're miles off it. But for 17th, I think 3 to 4 players. We've talked about Andre and Gomez and we love them, but if we're being honest, as a pair, it doesn't always work. There's no creativity in there. There's no one that can carry the ball. There's not a drive, that's not the right word, but they're just both so comfortable in what they do and what they're good at that for me, they don't give us enough going the other way. You're a Strand Larsen injury away from not having a striker. There's big challenges there for me, but to answer your question, 4 players I think would keep us in the league.
As I've just got to jump in and say this. Well, I'm not going to say his name. He says, don't say it's my name. He said, Ryan spent more on the podcast the pre-season than Jeff has on the team. Just look, I only spend lots of time, but I appreciate it. I'll take that as a compliment, or maybe not. But yeah, sorry, Tyler. Yeah, just jumping in then. So goalkeepers aren't good enough for the top half, and it's a minimum of, you say, 4 more just for 17.
Are you happy with the 3 goalkeepers we've got?
No, I'm not.
They're not good enough. They're not good enough, are they? They're probably the worst. I can't say worst in the league because I haven't seen sort of Burnley's keeper much, but
Dubravka's their new keeper, isn't he?
Oh, is it Dubravka? There you go.
Did Dubravka go to Leeds or go to Burnley?
Yeah, he did. And you just think, like I said at the start of the show, how you ended up with those 3 competing. I mean, for me, Jose Sarr should be dropped for Saturday. But whoever you're bringing in is worse than him. So it's like, well, you can't drop him. And again, he's just so comfortable. I think Strand Larsen's comfortable. I think Agbadou's comfortable. There's no one breathing down their neck, taking their place and their shirt ultimately. And I think there's a lot of players that are too comfortable at the club at the moment.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Sean makes a really good point here. So bereft of match winners we are. There isn't anyone there who, like a Sarabia or even an Aït-Nouri on his day or Acuna, 3 guys that are capable of doing something magical to win a football match. That little bit of magic may come from Arias, but he's going to need a little bit of help. Noki, your take on the transfer window, what else needs to be done? Because I mean, I think me and Tyler are pretty much on the same page. I think a fast striker, another number 10, and a centre back. Those three option. I think Wolves stay up with that.
I agree, but I mean, you look at the players that we're signing, 10 million, 12 million. We're paying peanuts for players really in this division, and the wages are not where they should be. I mean, Arias had to take a pay cut to come and play in the Premier League.
I'm not sure that's true, mate. I think that was someone that said there was a miscommunication for that. So yeah, I'm not.
But if you look at the players we're signing now, I mean, the right back we've signed. The right back we've signed, how many, he wasn't our first choice, was he? He wasn't our second choice, and he wasn't our third choice. So we're kind of on the dregs already. And I'm just not confident we'll go out and spend the money that we need to spend to bring in at the quality we need to spend. Because it looks like Hwang's could potentially go to replace.
Well, only if a new number 10 or wide player comes in.
Yeah, but I'm not confident they'll go and spend the money we need to bring in the quality that we need. I mean, you're not going to replace Cunha because he was good enough to go for the money you went for. He's a quality player, but we're nowhere near it. And you're not going to replace Aït-Nouri for the same reasons. He's a top quality player who's gone to a phenomenal team. But I would argue the quality we've brought in is nowhere near the quality we've released. And this is the weakest Wolves squad we've had since returning to the Premier League. So people talk about 17th. I think 17th is a very, very long way away at the moment, especially when you look at some of the money the other clubs are throwing around. And Sunderland were a long way behind us. But they spent something like 160, 170 million quid to have a right good go at it, and they brought in some good players. The lack of quality is obvious. The lack of leadership is obvious. The lack of finishers is obvious. The lack of creativity is obvious. We've always had a quality player. We've lost... we lost Jota, we had a Neto, we lost Neto, we had a Cunha, we've had a Neves, we've had a Moutinho. The two best players we have are now holding midfielders. We've got no quality at all, and there's no match winners in that side. So to answer your question, I think we probably need 4 players, but they have to be the sort of level that we would be looking to sell players on. We can't be bringing in another Rodrigo Gomez or a Fer Lopez or someone who's going to be good in 3 or 4 years. We need to bring in more Ariases, who looks like he's good to go. We need to be bringing in players who can affect this 11 and this team now, because we are banging trouble. This is the worst we've looked since coming back, and the league doesn't look like it's going to be. You're not going to have an Ipswich this season. You're not going to have those 3 teams that are already dead and buried. So we need to really have a think about what we want to do and what the ambition is, because if they're not going to put their hands in their pocket, bring some quality in, it's going to be an incredibly long season.
Absolutely. Just want to stand corrected on a comment, and I hope this is right. Christian Basterbaum has tweeted earlier on, Wolf put in the fastest sprint at Molineux last Saturday. Now, I certainly didn't see what that was. I don't know if he's on the wind-up, but I think that I can see it on a chat they're talking about the pace of the game and the stats. Apparently, at some point in that game, he was the fastest player. Now,
probably when he went down the tunnel.
hopefully not. But yeah, Christian, I hope you're right on that, or if you're on the wind-up, you've got to mention on the show anyway. But yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. I'm interested. I mean, this right back looks like he gets down to the ground really quickly and smashes into tackles. He looks like he can get forward. His assists and goals are granted not in the same league as what Semedo was in, but look a little bit better than that. So yeah, let's give him a chance anyway. Same as Wolf. Let's give these guys a chance. Let's have a proper look at them next week.
But where are the goals? Where are the goals coming from? Because Cunha, you knew you were going to be in double figures. Aït-Nouri with the assists. Larson, he's not going to have the service. And I said last week, I feel like we look like a team that absolutely stinks of conceding loads of goals and not being able to score them. So where do the goals come from this season?
It's a really good point. Just a question off that, Nocky. If Wolves take all their chances Saturday, like City did, how many goals do Wolves have?
But we didn't take our chances, though.
No, but I think that's not his point, Ryan.
Yeah, no, you're right. But my point is, we did create some chances. So
but we didn't finish them.
Yeah, you're right. And I stand by what I said last season. If you create the chance, I get concerned when someone like Strand Larson or Manetti, if he's playing, stop having chances.
What are you going as goal scoring chance though? Because I can only think of Strand Larson's really. And I don't even think that was a great chance.
I'm not sure. A side foot from that angle, I think he should be.
Yeah, but it's sort of not perfect to run onto and strike it. He had to sort of wait for it. I can't remember like I know you love your XG, for example. I can't remember a chance thinking that should have been a
our
goal.
XG wasn't particularly good, but Man City overperformed by 1.5 on XG, which tells you how ruthless
I'm not
they
comparing.
were.
I'm saying I can't remember a point in the game where I was like, that should have been a goal for Wolves.
Well, Menetti should have been onside. He didn't need to be offside for that
he's
goal.
not. He's 2 yards offside. If it's like that's Noki's point. If you're not clever enough to be in the right position and have the right players, everyone scores a goal, Ryan, if they're offside by 2 yards. And that's when I don't. You say we're creating chances. I thought we had a half chance at best. Yeah.
But they created 4 real opportunities,
chances,
and all 4 ended up in the back of the net. They've got that clinical edge, and I'm not trying to compare us to Man City because that would be ridiculous. But yes, we might have created opportunities, but we missed every single one. So I don't see where that quality comes. I mean, you look at some of the goals Cunha scored last season from absolutely nowhere. Bang, he puts the ball in the back of the net and wins us a game. Aït-Nouri, the amount of goals and assists he got. I don't see anywhere in this squad where those goals come from. We're all putting our money on Arias. He's going to be brilliant because we've seen him play 15 minutes in a friendly. I just don't see that quality that's going to get us where we need to get. We're going to concede more goals than we score in almost every game. And that's a route to the Championship.
Like you said, if you're only scoring a goal a game, you need to be watertight at the back.
Yeah, which we're absolutely not.
We haven't been for a while now, have we? So I get your concerns because it's almost like, as we've talked about before, in both boxes and both ends of the pitch, we are lacking at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah, and we've got the end of the window. I mean, we don't know what this is going to look like when we get to September. We might have bought in 4 or 5 players and away we go.
The first, so it's less than 2 weeks now, isn't it? It's less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, but it's the quality that you're going to bring in. Are you going to bring in ready-made replacements, or are you going to bring in players that you're trying to sell on for a profit in 4 years?
Dave, again, makes a really good point, Dave. So this feels like a repeat episode from last season. I mean, we've been saying this for a few years, haven't we? It's a rinse and repeat, but this time we've lost we've lost 3 nailed starters, probably three of our 4 best players, and one of the best impact players coming on with about a bit of quality, Sarabia.
And we've got a Gucci new team display now as well. So we've come a long way since last year.
Yeah, it's painful. It's going to be tough, guys. But again, it's hard to. Even for me, it's hard.
It's tough when, without being rude, we love you, but it's tough when you're struggling sometimes to find positives with the situation at the moment. And, we have our chats, our WhatsApp, and every day we're having banter. But even you're slowly probably coming around to the idea of thinking, crikey, if something doesn't change, then this could be the year. And I know you've not lost your hope or anything like that. But if you're sort of on the teetering on the negative side, then, it's bad, basically.
You spend your whole summer trying to make the podcast pretty, and this is how the team trick. Yeah, what are you supposed to do?
I like your new Wolves polo shirt, though. That's lovely as well.
Oh, thanks, mate. It's my Adidas one from the trip a few years ago. Yeah, it's a belter, mate. Adidas, when they used to make proper kits back then. This is episode 134 of the Wolves Report with Mark Crystal and myself, Ryan Lester. Let's do some questions. We'll do as many as we can before Tyler presses the alarm and he has to go to bed. This one's an absolute belter and it's a stinker of the week. Now, Mike asked 24 questions, and we can only give you 1 question each, Mike. But I do appreciate your enthusiasm on the questions. Mike asked, will you keep the podcast going in the Championship? Mike, you absolute stinker. I'll be here by myself. It'll be black and white. It'll be budget. I'll have probably sold the podcast. I don't know. But regardless, Mike, of where we are, this podcast will be here. Whether it has Tyler and Noki, I don't know. I'll still be here to annoy you, to ram down my positivity with absolutely no backing whatsoever with my terrible Cunha predictions. We'll be here, Mike. Don't you worry. Thank you for being part of this week's Wolves Report. Richard asks, which result was more alarming, our loss or Sunderland's win? Great question, Noki.
I don't think either were. I mean, the season we got relegated under McCarthy, we won our first 2 games and then we finished on 25 points. So I don't think you should get too excited. I mean, no one wanted to go to Sunderland for that first game of the season, and West Ham they're probably just a couple of steps above us in terms of quality. They look like they're going to struggle as well. So I'm not too fussed on Sunderland and Leeds winning, because if we do what we need to do and we bring in what we need to bring in, then we'll stay up regardless of what they do, because they're going to be in the mix.
Tyler, with that question, what I would say was talking about our loss or Sunderland's win, we're forgetting West Ham here. West Ham have gone to Sunderland and got pumped on the opening day.
Yeah, they're as bad as us, aren't they? I mean, they stink. I mean,
They stink worse than Mike Allen's question. If the podcast will be here.
Lockie says they're 2 steps ahead. I say they're on a par with us. You look at their team.
The way they finished last season, their form last season was
take Jared Bowen out of that team, and that team it's worse than ours. They've signed Wilson. Fulkrug's not done it. Kilman's been a liability since he went there. The only thing with them, they might just have enough Premier League know-how to get to like 36, 38 points, but you don't want to go there like Knockers. You don't want to start your season with a 3-0 defeat at Sunderland. So I think to answer Richard's question, you're right, Ryan. The most alarming one would be if you're a West Ham fan. They welcome Chelsea on Friday. If they lose that at home to their rivals, Potter will be under pressure, and who knows? But yeah, there'll be a team in and around it with us for me.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you, Richard, for being part of the latest Wolves report. Chris asks, have we recruited to the wrong specification, tall and athletic? Not so much one-paced, moreover, collectively slow all over. We didn't look particularly mobile all pre-season, did we, boys? We looked a little bit stiff and static, and recovering the ball was all right in pre-season, but there wasn't seen to be much happening in front. Now, Nocky, horses for courses against Man City. I can see why he's done it. Imagine if we'd have gone toe-to-toe, what could have possibly happened then? I'm not saying damage limitation is good at 4, but who knows then? But I can kind of understand the plan. But it's hard to judge, isn't it, really, until, say, the Everton game, when he probably starts, or next week, he probably starts Arias, and then we have a little bit more pace going forward.
Yeah, I mean, there was only one new starter in the team, wasn't there? I mean, I've seen Fer Lopez a couple of times. I think he's got a bit of pace about him. He's quite mobile as well for a big lad.
A big boy, he's very mobile, yeah.
Arias has got a real low centre of gravity, and he's pacey, and he can nip into those spaces. So I'm not too worried about that at the moment. I think what it probably did on Saturday was just expose the players who are still here that we actually haven't got rid of.
Yeah, Tyler.
Yeah, I think obviously the new right back's going to bring some good pace to that side of the pitch. There's enough pace at the back. I mean, arguably you could have a conversation around Mosquera coming in when he's fully fit. It's the top end of the pitch for me that, you want pace. Anyone will tell you at any level of football, you don't want to defend and play against pace. And I just think we're a little bit one-dimensional at the moment. But like Nocky said, if we do get the signings right and we can get a couple of forward players, a couple of differentiators maybe, that will help. Because if you look at the options within the squad, they're not there. Hwang might be leaving. He's not the answer. Sassa's not the answer in the forward area. Fabio's going to go. Bellegarde, we've all agreed, can't play there. The answers aren't within, so they have to be players externally.
Absolutely. Chris, thank you for being part of the latest episode. Steve Lees, I think we covered a little bit earlier on, but I think Vita will get his wish of 3 players before the end of the window. This question was asked a couple of days ago, by the way. One with the right wing back. Obviously, we've signed, ready for it, Jackson Chachwa. I hope that was all right. And now he thinks we'll get a couple more. Now, let's say, here we go, boys. Take a spin off from Steve's question. Nocky, we're only going to sign 2 more players after Jackson Chachwa. What 2 positions are you going to sign?
Centre forward.
A different kind of centre forward, or a similar one to Strand Larsen?
I think another option to Strand Larsen, because we've got, I think Chris touched on it earlier, if he goes, we've got absolutely nothing to play there. So I want another centre half. And
you only get 2, mate.
It's either an inverted winger or another attacking midfielder. I'd probably go. Yeah, I know, that's what I said. Either, you pleb. I think I'd probably go with. I'd probably go with a midfielder to link the midfield and the attacks. I think that, again, Chris touched on this last season, that our 2 midfielders are good. They're good at what they do. They're good for us, but they don't give you an output going forward. So I'd almost be tempted to look at potentially 3 in midfield and then Arias playing off Strand Larsen. So I'd probably look for a midfielder and another striker.
That's old school Nuno when it was, didn't he go Dendoncker, Martini and Neves?
When we won
Jota,
games.
Jota play. I remember that. That was nice. And God bless him, Jota playing off Jimenez. Good times. Steve, thank you for being part of the latest Wolves report. Paul goes on to ask, I don't really think we played that bad and the scoreline flattered City. There was a glimpse of what we could do with 2 or 3 more players, a centre-back, a centre midfield and a striker. I all think we'll be fine. Nocky, are Wolves going to be fine?
Ask me on the 1st of September. Because at the moment, this squad now, I think, finishes probably 18th or 19th. But with 3 more players, potentially we could hit the dizzy heights of 17th.
Crikey, that's something to get excited about. Tyler?
Sat here today on with Nocky, I think we're a 17th to 18th place team. But I agree with you both. If the right 3 to 4 players come in, then I think we should have enough to be 14th to 16th.
Yeah, I think Paul's made some good points there. And I think it's to acknowledge that, and it suits my positive outlook on things, that Wolves did do some things well in that game. And until Man City scored, granted, we know what happened, we looked like we were capable of doing decent things. We weathered the early storm and then we sort of played our way into the game. Granted, the game's 90 minutes, not 35 minutes. But yeah, Paul, thank you for being part of the show.
Is it, if I'm being horrible, is it an easier game to do that though, Ryan? Because the pressure's on the next 2 now, isn't it? The pressure's on.
But equally, if we go for Lopez and Arias and we get past 6 or 7, right, we are...
I don't know if we'll do that at Bournemouth. I know we'll come on to the team, but I don't see him being that adventurous, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Arias...
So what's the ceiling for Wolves this season? What's the highest we can finish?
14th for me, max.
Yeah, I'm 14th, 15th. I mean, that's if we put some serious money in.
Like I said to you all pre-season, and I get hammered for it. Like I was like, with the right signing, with that foundation of that spine, Wolves could finish 10th. That conversation is about 1,000,000 years away. I mean, with where we're at now, and this is really sad, but I'm taking 17th. But that's how now our expectations have been managed so low now. I'm almost going to be grateful for staying up, and that's pathetic. That's the fall off of where we've come from to now being grateful and thinking, oh, hope we can just stay here for 1 more year. But that's going to wear thin soon enough. But yeah, give me 17th now. I'll take it. With a couple of additions, I think some Wolves will finish somewhere between 15th and 17th. And I'll take you to the League Cup quarterfinals for a day out as well. Next question up is from John Dent. Hwang out on loan, but paying hardball when it comes to Fabio. Can you explain the logic in that? No, this is a really good question. What I don't understand, and people will talk about in terms of the value of players decreasing and long contracts. I think Hwang is contracted till 2028 with a year's favouring the club. So in theory, he's got 3 years left. But what I don't understand is loaning a player that's 29, 30 years old out. I don't understand that, because clearly as it stands, he's no future at Wolves. Obviously, Palace have come in. Maybe only Palace have come in. I don't know. But to me, guys, it makes no sense whatsoever to loan a player out that doesn't have a future with this manager. We're talking about if we get the window right, the manager will extend. If the manager extends, the player's definitely got no future. This is a player, again, I've annoyed people on Twitter by talking about it over and over again. We turned down a lot of money last summer for this guy, and now we're talking about loaning him out. It makes no sense whatsoever.
No, I think you're right. And the second part of the question as well, the Fabio piece, I mean, I don't know if it's because he was Jeff's vanity project and Jeff's trying to get as much money back for him as he can to save face. I'm not sure.
A bit late for that.
That's exactly what it is.
But
exactly what it is.
If the rumours that you hear around sort of 20, 22 million, you bite your hand off. We sold out Nori. We probably all agree for a little bit less than his market's worth, but we're holding firm on Fabio. And I think 1 or 2 suitors have already known to have walked away from that deal. It just stinks of the club being totally inept in that boardroom department on both of those players there for me.
Yeah, I agree. I don't believe
those
in a
days
million...
behind us, but they're obviously not, are they?
I don't believe in a million years that Jeff hasn't had his say in this. I spoke to the director of football. No, we need as much money for this one as possible, because look what we did, like I said, with Aït-Nouri. We got bullied into a release clause with Cunha. We've been weak. Why all of a sudden are we acting like the tough guys on the Fabio one?
Exactly.
We'd have all said at the end of last season, give me 20 million. Thanks very much. You know what? I'm sure he'll go on and have a good career in Europe. I'm not sure he's suited to the Premier League. He may come back and bite me in the butt for that. But I think he's a good player that played well in the poor team last year, and he's proven that he can do it. I think he'll have a good career somewhere, but it's not going to be at Wolves. So what are we doing? Again, it makes no sense. It's a really good point of debate, John. I appreciate you raising that. I don't understand it. And equally, I don't understand why we would loan Hwang out. Surely you just say he's for sale or nothing else. Are Wolves that desperate to get people off the wage book for a year? I don't know. I think Hwang's on about 60, 70 grand a week, allegedly, and he's one of Wolves' top earners. So are we looking at taking that out for 9 months and getting rid? I don't know. Gents, any more on that?
No, I think you're right. I think Tyler touched on it. He's Jeff Shee's vanity project. He doesn't want to see him go for 10 million because it shows what a massive mistake it was. So if he can get somewhere near the price that we paid for him, he doesn't look quite so stupid. In terms of Hwang, I've no idea why you would loan. I'm all for loaning if it's for an obligation, but if you're loaning for an option, that makes absolutely no sense. Because he comes back a year older with less sale value, so that just makes no sense to me.
I don't see him having any impact at Palace. I might be wrong, but
No.
I know he plays sort of left side inverted. He can play as a 9. I don't see where he plays. He certainly isn't as a replacement. He might not even go. But for me, a player of that age, it's a loan with an obligation. It's a sizable loan fee or it's a sale. There cannot be just a loan. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. Up and coming kid, 19, 20, a player coming back from an injury, 21, 22, loan, fine. Let's see where we go. This for me is crazy. But you know what? If Hwang has a good season and we get to sell him, it might work out. But I just don't see it. John, thank you for the question. It's a really good point. Should we squeeze a couple more questions in? This is a funny one for you, Tyler. Bobby Smith says, why is modern football so boring?
Oh, yeah. You laugh about it. I find it boring. I genuinely do. I don't find it as, or maybe I'm getting old and boring. It could be that as well. But as you boys know, I go to a lot of sort of lower league and non-league football and find that far more entertaining. It's robotic these days, isn't it? And you've got we've talked about it a million times. Your bars and too much money in it and pricing people out. Some of the old school people are walking away from it, aren't they? And doing what Wolves do every season is boring. Let's be honest. If we were Nottingham Forest now or Newcastle, we probably wouldn't find it boring. We find it boring because we're doing the same thing.
Repeating the same mistakes, then hoping it will change and do it next year. Panic, sack the manager, spend money in January.
Yeah, Blues fans aren't finding it boring. Wrexham fans aren't. I think if your team's got a little bit and just a little bit of ambition, you're happy with it, aren't you?
Yeah, really good points, Nocky.
Yeah, I agree. And I think as well, you look at Liverpool, they won the league and they've gone and spent 200 million this year. You've got Man
Nearly
City.
300 now.
You've got Man City throwing money at it. Man United, who are £1 billion in debt, are throwing money around all over the place. It's not an even playing field. You can't compete with it. And I don't like Villa and I don't like Newcastle, but they're being stopped from challenging that kind of hierarchy because of financial fair play, which seems to be benefiting the clubs who are already in financial trouble. So it's not what it used to be. It's so expensive now. It's so expensive to go, and VAR for me makes it a very difficult watch. It's not what it was, but you go because it's your football club.
And why go and watch Wolves when it's cheaper to go and watch Man City behind the goal? Just saying. Just saying. Bobby, thank you for your input as always. Let's just get one more question. This is a good one. Pop quiz, everybody. Cos90 says, have Fosun ever bought a Premier League player from a starting 11 Premier League team? That is a great question. I've not done my research, so I don't know, but that is a great question.
I think the question he's looking at is like a regular Premier League starter. Have we gone and bought one of those that's made our team better? I know we've signed people in the past like Sam Johnston, Craig Dawson, but
both subs though, weren't they?
Yeah, they probably weren't regulars in their team at the time.
They're previous regulars, but not current regulars.
Yeah.
We've not signed anyone where that club has took a hit because we've signed that player. The way that we have with Cunha and Aït-Nouri, we've never done that piece. But we do. I think under Fosun, at the start of Fosun, we were hitting the Portuguese market, weren't we? So we weren't in Premier League teams, but we bought in Jota, and we brought in Neves, and we brought in Helder Costa and players like that. Since we've been in the Premier League, we then went and we bought Raul Jimenez, and so we bought ready-made players who were good quality but playing in a foreign country. But since the kind of self-sufficient model, I'd argue no. I don't think we've done anything. I remember we bought Tommy Doyle. He wasn't playing for City. No, I really don't think we have. I mean, some chap there's put Nathan Collins, but I think hadn't they been relegated when we signed him? Can't remember, but
yeah, that's a good point. Maybe Nathan
Collins.
Collins.
Yeah, it's not a bad shout.
That's a good. That's a great answer. That is, yeah. Who put the comment?
Jay Baines.
Who? Sorry.
Jay Baines.
Oh, well done, Jay. Yeah, Jay's playing football against us in a couple of weeks' time at the Content Creators Cup. Well done, Jay.
Snap him. He's ruined the question.
I won't be able to catch him even way quicker than me. Cos90, thank you for your question as well. Just one point now before we talk about the team on Saturday, guys. Interesting point. The Fosun entourage was there on Saturday. All the assistants, everyone there. Obviously, they were there. I understand they were there to pay their respects as well. But is there a coincidence? Could there be more going on behind the scenes? Could we have been for a nice surprise? Or, as usual, am I being over-ambitious and getting excited?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, you are.
All right, then that's put me in my place. This is episode 134 of the Wolves Report with Mark Knott, Chris Tyler and myself, Ryan Lester. Wolves go to Bournemouth on Saturday afternoon in what looks like a very, very tough game, particularly after watching Wolves defending on Saturday afternoon. And Bournemouth, who I thought were unlucky not to score more goals. They got 2 at Anfield on Friday night, but they could have been a couple of goals up early on in that game. So it's going to be a tough game. Tyler, what changes are we making to that starting 11?
Oh, God. I put a team out to you on the WhatsApp, didn't I? I look at that team and think that gets slapped as well. So
Back yourself, son.
Sure. I'm not as big a fan, as you know, but for me, I think if Mosquera is anywhere near match fitness, he just has to come in.
I'm a big fan of Mosquera, yeah. We need him back in.
If we had a decent goalkeeper, I'd be dropping Sarr, but I don't think we have. I think Arias has to come in.
I think him for Bellegarde, Knocker, would you say Arias for Bellegarde? I think that's nailed, isn't it, surely?
But I can't see Lopez starting as well, so I think you might still have Manetzi. I'd probably play Hugo Bueno. I probably would. And that's nothing against the new guy. I just think at the moment he's slightly the safe and the better option until the lad's settled. And then, like you talked about, you could debate whether you throw the new kid straight in at right back. And that's a concern, the fact that game 2, and we're talking about making 4 or 5 changes to your team, that's a concern in itself, really.
Manetzi's got to play, hasn't he? Because he was probably our best player. One change I would consider would be Mosquera for Agbadou. That's one that I'd consider.
Drop Agbadou.
I think, if you look at the 3, he was the weakest. Doherty, I don't think for a second Doherty should be in our team, but he's there on merit at the moment. I thought Totti looked okay. Doherty looked okay. Agbadou was the weak link. I'd strongly consider Mosquera for Agbadou. He won't. Agbadou will absolutely start, and I think the back 3 will be as they were, but it'd be something I'd personally be thinking about.
Yeah, I can't see Arias not starting now. Horses for courses, I get it, but
he'll start.
Yeah, I don't see him not starting for Bellegarde. Now, I know with Marshall, horses for courses, I think with his performance and the organised chaos that he brings sometimes with his presence, I think he deserves his place in the team. But with him in the team on that side, you're not going to get anyone really bursting through. So for that reason, I think the new right back starts because he's lightning quick. Bournemouth are going to have a lot on the ball. We're going to have to counter them. They're going to be in control of the game, I would imagine. So for me, the new right back starts. Arias starts.
One thing on the flip side, one thing me and Nocky spoke about after the City game is, would you consider 3-5-2? Strand Larson, Arias off him, Bellegarde in front of the 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against that.
Makes you a bit more solid, a bit more tight away from home.
I think you have to start the new right wing back then, though. You can't not start him.
And that's why I was thinking about Hugo Bueno as well, just because he sort of, to me at the moment, is naturally a bit higher, a bit more offensive.
I think with
I'm not saying it's a definite, but I think it's something with our players we've got available at the moment we should be considering.
Yeah, I think with that kind of formation, you've got the two holding Bellegarde to travel with the ball, and then Arias trying to link things. I get that, but then you are so narrow and overloaded there. You have to get the wide players high up, and you have to get crosses in the box. You can't afford any cutbacks. Then it has to be fast down the middle, wide, direct. You have to cross with that formation, because if you don't, you're just never going to have a shot.
I don't think the new kid starts. I think Hoover starts. I think Arias comes in for Bellegarde. I think Menezes stays. I don't think there'll be a whole host of changes.
That'll probably be the only change, I think.
Yeah, I think
if
Hoover
realistic
starts
about
one side, Wolf starts the other side. So yeah, I think it'll be that one change. Other than that, I think we'll stay as we were.
Just a quickie on the Hoover situation, and just to dig a little bit deeper, because I think it's really interesting. You both think Hoover starts. Why are we keeping a right wing back in when we've lost 4-0, and he's lost and that's probably he was probably okay. It wasn't good. He was okay, but we've spent 10 million quid on a new right wing back. We've just lost 4-0. Why aren't we starting the new guy?
So
he's
with
fit,
that
he's ready to go.
But with that logic, do we replace the entire back three then because we shit 4 goals? I think Hoover
we
wasn't
we haven't got new centre backs to come in though. We've just signed someone to fix that problem.
Yeah, but I don't think Hoover was particularly responsible. I don't think he'll sign this kid on Tuesday and then start him at Bournemouth on the following Saturday. I just don't think he will. I think he'll want to give him a few sessions, because last thing you want to do is sign this kid at right wing back, stick him in. He's not ready. He's not had enough with his team, and then he gets absolutely ripped to pieces. Because I think Bournemouth are all wrong for us. I think it's a horrible fixture for us because they love the wings. Semenyo on the wings. You've got Kluivert. They've got so many fast, quality players, and they love that turnover of possession. They'll turn the ball over, they'll hit us on the wings, and they'll bomb down that side and they'll rip us to shreds, because that's how they play. That's what they did against Liverpool, and it worked. So I don't think you start him because he's going to get absolutely peppered in that game, because it's how they play. So for me, I think he plays Hoover, and then potentially we will see this kid against West Ham in the cup. I think it'll be his first game. I might be miles off, and if I am, great. Let's see what he can do. But I just don't see him starting him.
I think it's one change with Arias. I don't think Vita's not the sort that panics and makes wholesale changes. No. He's proved that already. So,
but equally, if he has put out a horses for courses team to try and stifle Man City, which he did for 35 minutes, to try and stifle Man City, then surely would change it now. But yeah, I don't know. Vitor's certainly got my trust for now. I'm not questioning him at all. Prediction time. Yeah, so we'll start off with Tyler. We'll go with the positive one first. We'll go Bournemouth v Wolves. First goal scorer and prediction, please, Tyler.
I think we get beat 2-0. Let's go with the man of the moment for them, Semenyo. He looks dangerous at the moment.
Absolute handful. Knocker.
3-0 Bournemouth, Semenyo with the first goal.
Oh man, this podcast is not going to get many likes.
We sound really negative, don't we? But I just think the way they set up and the way that they play is just completely wrong for us. But we have got a good record there, haven't we? So
we have. That's the only glimmer of hope.
You never know.
Yeah, we do well down there.
Let's go with my new trend this season. We'll go Bournemouth 0, Wolves 1, and we'll go with Arias opening his account. This has been episode 134 of the Wolves Report. As always, thank you to Knocking Tyler for giving up your Tuesday evening. Catch you next week at the Wolves.